Hello everybody, and welcome to the quarterly stats video for the third quarter of 2025. I'm sorry it's a bit late. I've been waiting for Octopus to actually generate my bills. They hadn't generated me one since like June, and I had to go on and actually request them to generate my bills so that I could get accurate data for this video. It took a little while for them to do it. And then since they've done it, just lots of stuff has come up and not had time to actually get the video going, but I've got some time now, so let's get into it. We imported 4,547 kilowatt hours of electricity in the last quarter, which is I think similar to the quarter before. But a lot more than we imported in 2024. That's obviously, as I've said in previous videos, because now I'm charging up my home batteries every night so that I can export all my solar during the day. And then if there's any spare left in the batteries from about tea time onwards, I export that as well. So it means that it looks like we're using a lot more electricity than we're actually using. We're not really using that much as such. We generated 4,100 kilowatt hours in the last quarter, and I think that's broadly similar to the quarter before that, but a lot higher than, again, in 2024, where we only generated 2,500 kilowatt hours. So that's because of my new north-facing array, which is a 5 kilowatt array facing north. But obviously in the summer months, when the sun's almost directly overhead, it generates pretty much the same as the south-facing array. So the last quarter, is when the sun has been at its highest. So they've generated very, very much similar amounts, and we'll see that in some of the pie charts in a little bit. Now, we exported 6,821 kilowatt hours in the last quarter, which is a lot. So you can see that from the previous slide, we generated 4,100 kilowatt hours. So that means we've exported all of that, and on top of that, another 2,000 or so kilowatt hours, and that will all be from the leftovers in the batteries after I've charged them up at night and we've used what we've used during the day. Start discharging them at about tea time onwards. So that extra 2,000 kilowatt hours comes from energy that I've effectively bought and then resold. Octopus still haven't changed the export price yet. I did mention in my previous video that my fixed rate was up, and they said it's going to stay at 15 pence export rate for now, but it might change at some point in the future. And at the moment, so far, it still hasn't changed. It's still 15 pence a kilowatt hour. So for the time being, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing at the moment. So let's have a look at what that means in terms of actual money. So the amount of money we got paid for all that energy that I exported was £1,023.20, and then I had to pay £330.62 for all of the energy I imported. Now, all of that energy I imported would have been at the nighttime rate of 7 pence, and small amounts of it potentially were free during Octopus power hours and stuff. But we'll see more about that in the graphs shortly. But yeah, so £330 cost, standing charge £46.81. My FIT payment for that quarter was £351.08, and I made £16 doing the saving sessions stuff. So I exported a lot of extra power when there was a saving session on, and you get paid admittedly in Octo points for it, but I convert the Octo points into money to take off my bill. So I made a total saving of £16 there, which means for the whole quarter, Octopus actually paid me £1,012.84. So, I mean, that's really, really good. I've left that in my Octopus account, and that coupled with my monthly payments means that I should have a nice chunk of money to basically pay for all the gas that I'm going to use to heat the house during the winter months. And hopefully by the time the winter's over, I'll be back to sort of break even, back to almost zero, and then I can start accumulating again next year. I did have to reduce my my direct debit, not my standing order. I had to reduce my direct debit down to Octopus because it was originally something like £70 a month. But since I'm now making so much from exporting my power, my account was growing too big too quick, so I had to reduce it down to just £10 a month. So my direct debit is now just £10 a month, and I think at that level, I didn't want to set it to zero, but realistically, I don't think I actually need to pay anything. I think hopefully over the course of an entire year now, my gas and electric imports will cancel out with my electric exports. So I should hopefully have like a zero bill. But we'll see that at the end of year video when I do a wrap up of 2025 and how we did. Okay, now let's have a look at the pie charts like we always do. This should help break down where the energy came from. And you can see from this first one that the north-facing array, which is the Solis array on here, generated a little bit less than the south-facing array, which is the Solax array on here, the blue one. You can see there's about a 400 kilowatt hour difference, but that's pretty good going for an array that's facing north, and it's not quite the same size as the south-facing array. The south-facing array is 5.4 kilowatt of panels, and the north-facing array is exactly 5 kilowatt of panels. So yes, they're a bit newer than the old array, so you'd expect them to be more efficient now because the old array will have lost a little bit over the years that it's been running. But even still, that's pretty good. You know, that's a whole lot of power that I was missing out on before because I wasn't using the north-facing side of my roof, and that really made a difference in the amount that I was able to export in this last quarter, because that pretty much all of that I didn't have last year. So that's 1,300 kilowatt hours of energy that I can export for 15 pence. And then the others are all fairly equal. The 1 kilowatt array is on the roof, and the 2 kilowatt array in green there is on the wall. That's my vertical array. They generated, again, similar amounts. And the purple one, the MPP solar, that's just on my shed, power shed out in the garden, and that's only got a kilowatt of panels. So and it's quite shaded by trees and things, so I wouldn't expect it to generate as much as the 1 kilowatt on the roof of the house, which doesn't have any shading at all. So now let's have a look at the energy mix pie chart, and finally we got some Octopus free energy. Again, they've started doing the power hours, so there were a few of those, I think, in the mix this time. So those are showing up as that tiny little green slither, which was free, and then you can see that the rest is almost all of it in the blue is 7 pence off peak rate, and then a small amount of 7 pence a cheap rate still, but it's during the daytime rather than during the night time. So it's just when Octopus happened to decide to charge my car because it's convenient for them to do so, and that instantly drops the price down to 7 pence a kilowatt hour. So there's that's what that is. So you can see that there's the tiny little yellow slither is the only bit of energy that I actually paid full price for. Okay, here's a pie chart showing where a lot of the energy went. It's not absolutely 100% conclusive. I had a few issues with some of my smart plugs, so I lost a little bit of data here and there. So it's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close. And there's a few things I don't monitor, so they don't show up on here at all anyway. But you can see that the bulk of the energy usage is still to run the car, the Tesla. Working from home mostly these days, so actually we don't charge the car up nearly as much as we were before, because it's often sat on the drive, or if my wife's using it, she's only 4 or 5 miles away to work and back. So we use a lot less now, and equally with the the Leaf, you can see again it's not really being used very much. It's a very small portion. We're actually still putting a lot more into the hot water than we are into the Leaf. But after the hot water, what's the next biggest one there? The kettle is on most of the time, sort of like an urn thing, sort of keeping the water warm. So that's using quite a bit. It's probably not really worth me using one of those anymore. I did it originally because obviously when the sun was out and I didn't know where else to put the power, it was better to just keep heating some hot water with it rather than just lose it. But now I can sell the power. It's probably better for me to use a normal kettle where I just boil it when I need some hot water, and we'd probably get that figure down a bit. And after that, I'm quite surprised at what's on here is the wine fridge, which we got a small wine fridge, and we don't use it for wine because we don't really drink much, but it's mostly full of like cans of pop and stuff for the kids. But that's consuming quite a lot of power. I'm quite surprised that that's as high as it is, because when you compare that to the normal fridge freezer, which is a big American style fridge freezer, you can see there with the purple line, it's a fraction of how much that little wine fridge is using. So it must be terribly inefficient, probably because it is so small. Obviously, bigger they get, the more efficient they get. But yeah, I might have to look at whether or not we just put the cans of pop in the big fridge along with everything else, and then turn the wine fridge off altogether and not use it, because yeah, it's consuming quite a lot. So in the third quarter, there were 92 days, and of those 92 days, 85 of those were no-cost days, which is pretty amazing, really. I mean, that's nearly all of them. When I say no cost, I mean no cost to me, so that my bill would for that day would either have been zero or Octopus would have paid me. So I didn't have to pay them anything for those days. So yeah, 85 out of 92 days were no cost to me, which is pretty incredible. And the longest continuous streak without a break of no cost days was 44. So that's well over a month. Yeah, it's like a month and a half, where every day continuously, one after the other, no cost. So some of that would have been down to the fact that we had exceptionally sunny summer. It was a brilliant summer. And some of that would have been just down to the fact that because I'm not using the cars so much, which is probably our biggest outgoing in terms of electric usage, the amount that I've got stored up in the batteries and that we were generating from the sun, even on less sunny days, is still enough to mean that I could export enough to cancel out the cost of the imports for the day. Here is the graph for our best day. Our best day was on the 8th of July. And on that day, we generated almost, very close to 80 kilowatt hours, which is, I think, the most I've ever generated, but I'll have to double check that. But yeah, obviously I've got the north-facing array now, and it's doing really, really well. You can see here in the graph that it's not quite as high as, it's the red line, it's not quite as high as the south-facing array, but you can see on that day that actually the red line actually goes higher than the blue line to start with, and that's because the sun actually rises at the height of summer. It actually rises on the north side of the house, and so it shines on those panels that are facing north for a little while before it comes round and starts, shining down on them all equally. So actually, the north-facing array ramps up quicker than the south-facing array, and that is why the red line comes up much quicker at the beginning there than the blue line, and then eventually the blue line overtakes it from about sort of 7:30 in the morning. The south-facing array then starts to generate more than the north-facing array. So our worst day was on the 28th of September, and on that day we generated just 9.7 kilowatt hours, which is still actually a reasonable amount for a day, considering that's the worst day. Here's the graph for that day, yeah, it's pretty spiky, so it must have been mostly cloudy, but with just a few breaks here and there for the sun to peek through. There's a particularly big spike there just before 3 o'clock, so must have been a very small gap, and the sun shone right through for a second or two, and then went back to the way it was before. But yeah, not a bad day really, considering it's the worst day of the whole quarter. Right, let's now have a look at the imports broken down into half-hourly blocks for the quarter. You'll see that, yeah, all the power is cheap. It's all used between 11:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning, which is the cheap rate period. But you'll see that occasionally in there somewhere you'll see a few green bars, which was when there was an Octopus power hour, and it was have as much as you want for free. Those will show up in green, and there'll be an odd few expensive bits in there here and there, which has either been down to just pulling more power than the batteries could supply at any one moment, like if you've got the oven running and the cooker and the toaster and lots of other things like that. It's just more than my batteries can supply, and so it pulls a small amount from the grid. Or just some bug in my software that meant that it crashed or something, and so we pulled from the grid for a few seconds while it rebooted or restarted or something. So there's not many of them. Most of them, as you can see, are all just that cheap rate at night, and I can't remember the exact dates that the saving sessions were. Not the saving sessions, the power hours were. But yeah, we had a great power hour the other day, didn't we? I don't know if you all were on that. There was a 3-hour power hour just a few days back, and that will show up in the last quarterly stats. So I look forward to seeing that one, because I did manage to use a lot in that 3 hours. So yeah, it looks like there was at least 4 power hours there in that quarter. Oh, another one, 5. So quite a few. And it's great that Octopus do these. I'm more than happy to use free power when it's available. You can always find somewhere to squeeze it. Okay, so that's it for the stats. It's been definitely a bumper quarter. Loving this new north-facing array. I should have done it ages ago. It's making a massive difference to the amount of energy I can export, and it's really going to pay for itself in literally no time flat with this 15p export rate that we're getting. As I in that quarter I made over £1,000 from Octopus. So you wouldn't have to have I mean, it's only going to do that in the sort of middle 2 quarters of the year, quarter 2 and quarter 3. I'm going to generate that amount in the winter. It's not going to be like that. But even if you generated a couple of £1,000 a year from exporting, it's not going to take more than 3 or 4 years for that to completely paid off. So definitely worth having. And then I've got it for the next 25 years or whatever. That's probably going to live longer than I will. So yeah, it's I'm really, really happy with that, and it's even given me some ideas of other places on my property that I could maybe squeeze even more solar panels. Like, we've got some fencing along the edge of some decking, and the fencing would effectively face west-east. So it's just like vertical bars that make up that fencing on the edge of the decking, and I could replace that with bifacial panels, so the ones that can pick up the sun from either side, and effectively make a fence out of bifacial panels. And then as the sun rose in the east, it would shine on one side, and then as it came over and started set in the afternoon, it would shine on the other side. We have got a hill at the back of the house, so we wouldn't get nearly as much in the afternoon as it started to shine on the back side. So I would make sure that the good side that can generate the most is facing east, because that's going to be where you're going to get the most of the sunshine from. But yeah, I could probably get 2 or 3 of those along the edge of the decking, and that would make another sort of 750 watts or something potentially in the summer months that we could have. And it wouldn't require much work. Just build a couple of posts and just literally just slide them in between the posts on the edge of the decking, and hook them up to the inverter that's in my power shed, my off-grid inverter, to work in sync with the ones that are on the roof of the shed. So I wouldn't require any other extra hardware or anything like that. Literally just buy 3 panels, and they'd be like £100 each or something. So for sort of £300 and a little bit of tinkering by me to build some posts to put between them and stuff, I could add another 750 watts potentially of panels, and I think it would look quite good as well on the edge of the decking, depending on how I did it, but we'll see. So yeah, something I might consider doing. But yeah, that's it really for the quarter. Like I say, sorry it took so long. It was just waiting for my bills to come through, so I had accurate data. But I hope you all had good quarters too. I mean, it wasn't a fantastic summer, so I'm sure you all did. But let me know in the comments what you got. I'm always interested to see how other people fare around the country. I'm in the south of England, so it was pretty good here, but maybe it was even better up in the northern parts. Who knows? So yeah, do let me know, and thanks for watching, and do like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers.